Take it away, Deb. Okay, so what if I told you that you could drive a free car by investing just 15 to 20 hours a week in your Tupperware business? Now, I will tell you, it's not just like snapping your fingers and saying, I want a car. It's a decision. Every day you have to wake up and decide that you are working towards that goal. You have to communicate with others. First of all, you have to communicate the goal. That's a huge part of setting a goal. And actually, today over lunch, you're going to have a chance to work on that. You will communicate with your party hosts. You will communicate with your team, and it's very important that you communicate with the person that you're partnering with to make this goal happen. Now, typically that will be your director or your business leader. You definitely need to partner with somebody who's already driving a car, if that's your goal. And don't underestimate the importance of that piece. There are very few people, not just in Tupperware, but in anywhere in life that will be able to make a goal happen, a big goal, if they are not learning and partnering with somebody that is doing that already. So you need to be partnering with somebody who is already driving a Tupperware car. And guess what? It will be uncomfortable at times. If you're not willing to be uncomfortable, you will not drive a company car. So you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Now, when I say every day, that you wake up every day and focus on this goal, obviously 15 to 20 hours a week is not 24/7, right? But it does mean that you have to figure out which hours of your week you want to be doing the 15 to 20. And of course, everybody's schedule looks different, right? Because that's why we do Tupperware, right? So in this room today, if you work another job outside of Tupperware, I want you to raise your hand really high and leave it up. Okay? Raise your hand really high and leave it up. Now, if that job is more than 20 hours a week, I want you to leave your hand up. More than 20 hours a week, leave your hand up. If that job is more than 30 hours a week, leave your hand up. Leave your hand up. And if your job is 40 or more hours a week, leave your hand up. Okay, so now you put your hands down. Everybody put their hands down. Now, anybody that was in that group of 20 or more hours a week, if you absolutely, positively, every week get to say when you work those hours, and you are in complete charge of that, I want you to raise your hand back up. Okay, so there's 3 people, and that happens. There are a few other jobs out there, okay? But there was a lot of hands that didn't go up, weren't there? So that's what you get to do in Tupperware. You get to invest 15 to 20 hours a week to earn this car, but you get to decide when those hours are. Now, if you are in your workbook, there's a worksheet. And I want everybody to grab that worksheet because we're going to go through this together. Because it's like if you don't know how to invest that 15 to 20 hours, you may not know what to do, okay? Now, also, we're going to talk about the money that you will make when you're driving a company car. And I want to be sure that you know that the money we're talking about is once you're in the car. How many of you in the room, again, raise your hand really high, are a star manager or higher? Star manager, executive managers, and directors. Raise your hands really high, please. Okay. You can begin, you can put them down now. Thanks, girls. You can begin qualifying for a company car as a star manager or an executive manager in the DIQ program. So I want to be sure that you know that. You can begin qualifying, but the money won't be like this. And visit with your director or manager to find out exactly where that money will be. And obviously, if you're a director, you can also begin qualifying for the car. But once you're in the car, these bottom lines are correct. So we're going to talk about that. So the first thing is parties, right? In order to make anything happen in Tupperware, we hold Tupperware parties. And you can do home parties or you can do Facebook parties. But there are 2 different party averages that we work with. And just like Susan mentioned, the 1-2-1 success, 2 parties, we're talking home parties on that success plan, is what is going to make you successful in Tupperware. And driving a company car is no different. But we also recognize that Facebook parties are a real thing. So what I'm working with this morning is the nationwide party average. And yours may be different, but we're gonna work with the nationwide party average, because even if yours is different, this also gives you room for cancellations, right, and reschedules. So the nationwide home party average is $500, and the nationwide Facebook party average is $250. So I want you to fill in on those 2 lines, those of you that want to work for a company car, and even if you don't, if you want to go ahead and set a party goal, we're okay with that. If you're going to do all home parties, put 2. If you're going to do a little bit of both, it's 2 Facebook parties for every home party. So if you want to say 1 home party and 2 Facebook parties, if you want to say 4 Facebook parties or 2 home parties, whatever your week looks like, guess what? You're the boss. You get to set your own schedule. And again, if you're going to do less than 2 home parties or the 4 Facebook a week, I believe you will have a very, very difficult time driving a company car. Also, it is my belief that if you only do Facebook parties, it's very difficult to drive a company car. Now, I'm not going to tell you there aren't people doing that, but ladies and gentlemen, they are the exception, not the rule, okay? It is very difficult to keep this going when you don't ever see anybody face-to-face or in person, okay? Also, just a side note, when we, the directors, say Facebook parties, I want to make sure that you know what we're talking about. That does not mean that today, on Saturday, I started an event on Facebook and my host added everybody, and then on Thursday, I end the event, and during the week of that time, I might upload some videos and maybe even go live for a few minutes, and then on Thursday we finish. That is not a Facebook party. The word party means there's a specific time and a specific date. And so if that's not how you're doing your Facebook parties, you need to get with your director, because it is no different than a home party. It's just that they are at a different location. So if you take the 2 and the 4, if you take the 2 parties and the 4 parties, I believe realistically that I spend 5 hours per each party, okay? As far as my home parties go, okay? And I mean, there's lots and lots of numbers out there, but over the years, it is very unrealistic for me to tell you that you're going to get out in less than 3 hours, 2.5 maybe. And when you're new, you will get out faster because you won't talk as much like all of us do. But I'm telling you, if you're out in 2.5 to 3 hours, that is very, very, very much on target. And then when you're done, you're going to go home and you're going to maybe enter some of those orders, and you're going to put in any recruits that you got and update your parties up summary for the new datings. And then you're going to set up the Facebook event for the new datings. And if you're not doing Facebook events with all your home parties, you need to talk to your director or manager and learn how to do that, because that's a huge part of party planning in 2018. And then I definitely prefer that I date all of the new parties at the party, but if I haven't done that in a day or 2, I'm going to need to spend some more time calling and securing those datings before I close the party, and then I'm going to need to get with my host on the phone and close the party. And so it's 5 hours. It's 5 hours. It might be 4.5 sometimes, but that's the realism, okay? So 10 hours, and my Facebook parties are a little different but similar. So I believe that number's 10. There's 10 of your hours right there, working on your personal business, putting your parties in the computer, dating new parties. Your personal business, if you don't do this part again, you will have a really hard time. My mic's not wanting to cooperate. Have a really hard time driving a free company car. Your personal business is the base of everything that you do, just like our 1-2-1 Success program says, okay? Now, the other time is working with your team. And really, when you're brand new at this, 5 hours a week is probably plenty to work with your team, okay? I really want to strongly say that 2 to 2.5 of those hours can be attending your business leaders' Monday night meetings that they have every single week consistently. And you, if you don't live local, some of you that are even in this room don't live local, and you've driven a ways to be here today. We're also videoing this, so some people I'm talking to may live a long ways away, okay? So every Monday, we also go Facebook Live with that training. And I kind of recommend that if you're a group that lives a further way and you're working on a car and you want to build that team spirit, get together with your team about 30 minutes before the Facebook Live and have a little mini meeting and then come live with your business leader. So that's, your business leader does some of that work for you, or your director might. So take advantage of that. Make that part of the 5 hours that you spend with your team, and then you're going to spend time connecting and communicating just like we've talked about. So now let's go down to the next part, the team sales, because if you're doing 2 average home, for average Facebook, you know how it calculates, parties a week, you're going to sell at least $4,000 a month. Again, minimal, okay, based on that average party. So then it takes $12,500 in team sales for you to drive a car, and there's $8,500 left over. So now divide that out. That's 17 more home parties or 35 more Facebook parties, okay? So just write that on those lines. Then let's go down to the profit, right? Let me make sure, because I'm gonna look at this. Yes, okay? So directors and managers above, make a percentage called profit plus. And it's based on and for managers, it's based on how many active team unit members they have, personal unit members, and how much their unit sells that month. For directors, it is simply based on how much their team sells. So when you have a $12,500 month, if it's exactly that to the penny, your profit plus would be $562.50. But it is a percentage, and so that can change, but minimal if you're driving a car. Now your personal profit, you need to write the number in there, $1,400. If you're planning to do what we were talking about, if you're doing less or more, you can write in less or more. And then I put some numbers on there of just what I estimate that a car payment is, insurance. I took our own family, my daughters and my husband's, and I actually averaged them, the 2 of them together. And that's average what we pay on both their cars, you know, per car, the insurance, taxes, and maintenance, okay? So I want you to write in your numbers, because your numbers may be the same or they may be different, and then I want you to total that. Because the car is income, guys. The car is income. When I got to walk away from making a car payment for me and my tags and my taxes and my tires and my insurance, that's huge, right? Because they pay all of that, the tags, the taxes, the tires, and the insurance, and every 2 years you get another brand new car, okay? So then what your total monthly income potential is, then I want you to multiply that times 12. So I want somebody to shout out the number that they come up with that is your annual income, minimal, when you're doing your 2 parties a week and you're working your success plan, that you will be bringing home for your family. Somebody? 9,600? That is not correct on the numbers that I have on 2 parties a week. Can somebody tell me? Who's been doing the math with me?
Should be 24,000.
Thank you, 24,000. That's exactly right. So is 24,000 a pretty decent income on 20 hours a week? In fact, now I want you to do something else. Take that 24,000 and divide it by 80, and that's 20 hours a week, and we're only talking 15. How much per hour are you making? How much per hour are you making? Yeah, now I know who's doing the work, don't I? How much per hour? Who can shout out the number? Who's been doing the work with me?
300.
300?
Yeah, you said divided by 80.
80 hours in the month. Oh, that's the year, I'm sorry. Take the monthly number and divide it by 80.
30.
My bad. Who said $30 an hour?
30.
Now do not raise your hand. But inside of you, I want you to ask yourself, do I make $30 an hour? Those of you that raised your hand when you're 40, 30, 20 hour a week job, don't raise your hand, who makes $30 an hour? If you're not making $30 an hour, you really may want to look at this opportunity. And I'm telling you, the income just goes up from there, because that's where you start. So, what do you think? Are you ready to drive a free company car?